Alright, hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we have some excellent news as Milan just finished their game with Fiorentina, ended 1-0 with a very late winner from Rafael. No, it was not in stoppage time, but it was in the 82nd minute. It was a very open game on both ends, and typically you're going to get this from Vincenzo Italiano teams who is coaching Fiorentina, and Fiorentina has been playing great over the past few months here. A very tough team for us to play against, and this was a huge win, as now there are only 3 games left in the Scudetto run. Milan has an advantage, and if we are able to win out the last 3 weeks here, we control our own fate, and Milan will walk away with a Scudetto they have not seen in over a decade. So what I'm going to do today is just discuss the player ratings, kind of give you my take on who played well, who didn't, and then go over a kind of short discussion and wrap up. Okay, let's start. First off, Mike Maignan. He didn't have a ton to do in the game. However, there were a few super crucial stops he made. One in particular, which was a game-saving and possibly Scudetto-saving save. Point-blank header from Artur Cabral. One of the very few times where our center backs were not marking properly. I know that Teo was also covering him. However, that should have been Tomori's man. But we know that is one of Tomori's weaknesses, is aerial marking. However, I cannot fault Tomori too much for the rest of the game that he did play. However, this is all about Mike Maignan. Maignan was fantastic when he needed to be called upon, reliable when he needed to be called upon. Mike Maignan is very close to being MVP of this season, in my opinion. He probably is MVP of this season overall. Couple games left, but Mike Maignan gets a 7.5 from me. Davide Calabria, starting to get back into his form and show a little bit more of what he usually does. He was very strong defensively. However, early on in the game, he was beaten a couple times. So I can't give him a high rating, but he was definitely starting to step up, won a couple crucial interceptions, and was very solid throughout. I'll give him a 6. Pierre Kalulu, very similar to Calabria. Nothing special, but nothing terrible. So I would say also Kalulu a 6. Fikayo Tomori was better than Kalulu. He was making some very crucial interceptions. Yes, he could have marked Cabral better on that one scary chance. However, he was tracking back consistently. He was always there, always available, and he made some crucial interceptions from crosses from Saponara in particular. And Tomori gets a 6.5. Next is Teo Hernandez. I will give Teo a 7. I thought that he actually played quite a good game today. He had many bursting runs forward. He felt like he was full of energy. You can really tell the difference when Teo seems in it and when he doesn't. He's not that consistent yet. He's getting there, but today his defense was excellent. There was a chance earlier in the game where he made a wonderful slide challenge. It was crucial because the opponent was free on goal. I can't remember which Fiorentina player it was, but it was a very crucial interception and probably would have led to an early goal for Fiorentina. Yes, he should have marked Cabral better, just like I'm going to give Tomori a little bit of flack on that one, but overall he had a fantastic game, was one of our bright spots, and he gets a 7. Next is Sandro Tonali, coming fresh off of the winner from last week. He continues his form and played fantastic today. He was the one in the midfield who was doing most everything. Kessié was solid, he was not bad, but Tonali was pulling the strings. His passing was excellent. He was creating chances. On the few forays he did have forward, he always found the right man and always created a chance. That was excellent from Tonali. He fought till the end, and he covered at center back and side back consistently when Teo would go up way too far, or when our center backs, because they do press high, got out of position. Tonali gets an 8. Kessié, solid as I was saying. Nothing amazing, but he was very solid in the game. He controlled the ball well. His passing was decent. Didn't do anything fantastic, but he was a very good cog in the wheel. Kessié gets a 6. Junior Macias, probably one of the only weak spots on the team today. This has kind of been how he has played most of the season. He'll have a couple games where you start thinking, okay, maybe there's something to this guy, and then a slew of games where you think, yeah, we definitely should not sign him. And that's actually where I agree with. I don't think that we should sign him, that's for sure. He's played some important roles in some important moments, some good goals. Definitely more of a goal scoring threat than Salamakers, but overall he was pretty terrible today. I can't remember a single time where he beat his man. He was losing the ball consistently, and he was slowing down all of our attacks. So Junior Macias gets about a 4 today. Next is Brahim Diaz. He was finding himself in really great positions. He'd get himself open. He would be in the proper point for an attacking mid to be. However, his end product was terrible. He never really even shot the ball, but all of his passes where you'd see good on-runners, he would just miss them. He'd lead too much. He'd pull behind. He just wasn't hitting those passes where you need to have them. And this is a crucial thing for an attacking midfielder. You have to see the play. You have to know where your joining attacker is going to be, and then actually feed them in at least a close to appropriate place for them to really attack. He was several times misplacing passes or just hitting it a little off where it would slow down the entire attack. Brahim Diaz, for his work rate, for his positioning, would have done well, but otherwise, end product is where he really lacks, and I've got to give him a 5 today. Definitely below average, but that's kind of, unfortunately, Brahim's regular average. Next is Rafa Leao. Once again, excellent off the dribble, but final product lacking. However, he came upon a really fortunate turnover, but then it was all him from there. He had to make something happen. He could have maybe passed it, but I think the passing lane was closed. He makes an excellent short juke, buries it in near post there. Honestly, it was a fantastic play. People might say it was a gift, and yeah, getting the ball in that attacking position was a gift. However, he still had some to do, and Rafael Leao has finally stepped up late in the season. This is something that has plagued him, and although he's played very well, he beats his man very consistently. He's great at doing the little step over dribble and then go. He beats his man a lot. However, he's not the smartest when it comes to the end. He has a good shot, but he shoots at inappropriate times when he doesn't have space. He passes when he shouldn't pass, or doesn't pass when he should pass. That's kind of the end of Rafael Leao. However, this will improve with time, and everybody can see his talent. Today, though, he was fantastic, consistently a threat, consistently making great runs, and in the end, when it really mattered, Rafael Leao came through, and maybe this is the start of something special for him. Rafael Leao gets my player of the match because of that last goal there, which is a Scudetto changing and possibly winning goal. He gets an 8.5. Olivier Giroud is the last of the starting lineup. He didn't really have any very poor moments. However, he didn't have really many positive moments. It seemed like he wasn't able to bother the defenders as much as he really should. Never really got his head onto a very dangerous cross. However, part of that is due to our wingers. Overall, Giroud is a product of his service, and as our service was not great today, besides some decent service at times from Leao, Giroud does get a 5.5. Not really that impactful. Next to the subs, Rebic. I think he had a great impact when he came on. His energy, his grinta, just how this guy fights for the team. He's exactly the type of sub you want to bring on because he's going to fight, and that's going to inspire the team to push for more. He's aggressive. He comes into challenges hard, and I know sometimes people are scared about him getting a card. I don't really care. This guy's shoving for it, and he inspires the team. He's exactly the type of sub you want to bring on. Rebic gets a 7 for that alone. Krunic gets a 6.5. I've actually been very positive about Rade Krunic, and it's very seldom when you'll hear me say, please bring on Krunic, but I was begging to bring on Krunic for Diaz. Rade Krunic, while he's not great, he's going to give you consistency, he's going to give you strength, and he's going to give you effort, just like Rebic. You can see every time that guy's on it, he wants to win the game. Yes, he doesn't have great skills, but he wants to win the game. I thought that was a great double sub when Pioli brought on both Rebic and Krunic to really strengthen, add some grinta and some strength and some pressing to our attack, which was stagnating. Plus, I'm really glad to see Leao and Rebic together, which I'll talk about towards the end here. Next is Ibrahimovic. Didn't have a ton of time, however, I mean, he had about 25 minutes or so. And while he didn't have anywhere near the impact he had last game, he just has presence. I mean, something that you'll notice is when Ibrahimovic comes on the field, it inspires the team. The team pushes harder, and that's exactly what you need at the end of the season. I think that Pioli should keep doing what he's doing and sub on guys like Ibra and Rebic towards the end of the game, because you know now your winners are coming on. Your guys who are going to pull the other team with the other portions of the team with them and make them want to win. He's going to take guys like Leao, who generally gets a little bit lazy in games, and spur him on, and that's exactly what was needed. So Ibra, while he wasn't great, just for his presence, I got to give him about an average 6. Last is Benacer. Didn't really play enough to give him a full rating. However, I will say I liked bringing Benacer on. He is also a fighter, and that's something that this team has a lot of. I mean, look at who Pioli put on. And this is something that I'm usually not so big on Pioli's tactics or some of his subs, but I think today he hit it really well. He put on all the fighters. Look at who he subbed on. Rebic, Krunic, Ibra, Benacer. When you need to win a game, you don't need some fancy slick player. You need a fighter. And then the fancy players like Leao can actually do what they need to do because the fighters are winning the ball back. They're grinding. They're pushing forward. They're pressing the opponents. That's exactly what he needed to do, and it was perfect. So even though I can't give Benacer a rating, I thought he played quite well in the few minutes he was on, and he linked up with Tonali excellent down by the corner flag. Last is Stefano Pioli. I already alluded to this, but I thought he did very well today. There really isn't much at this point in the season to change. I've always given him flack about changing formations, and I think we should have done this a long time ago. However, at this point, with only 3 games left, just leave it as is. Let the team push and let the players do what they will. Just be good about your subs. And I thought he had excellent sub timing today, plus the right subs today. Junior Macias, he just doesn't cut it. Maybe there's going to be a debate between Macias versus Salonakers each game, but I feel like we're just putting on a pretty bad player either way. However, I like saving Rebic for a little bit later when the team's a little tired and he can fight hard, and I like putting both Rebic and Leao on at the same time. So Pioli for me today gets a very positive 7. I'll end with a brief discussion. Kind of covered most of it in the ratings either way, but I thought that overall the team is showing heart, and they are starting to kind of figure out those things that they were lacking in certain games last year. For example, Rafa Leao, he never really plays that well late in games. He kind of fades away. He starts getting a little bit tired with his runs. He makes some lazy shots, some lazy crosses. However, when we needed him to step up and the ball was gifted to him in a super attacking position, he didn't hesitate. He was decisive, and that goal right there might be one of the biggest parts for his development over the next few games here to see if he can end a season strong like a champion. Leao is the type of kid who's got talent and he's got the world at his feet, but his mentality has always really not been there, and that's why you'll see him fade late in the games and you'll see him fade late in the seasons. If this is the turnaround of Rafa Leao and he can do similar to what he did today for a couple more games in a row while this season ends, he might have just broken that monkey on his back and he will become one of the best players around. So I'm very, very positive about what's happening. Also, Sandro Tonali, so glad we have this guy. He really is the beating heart of Milan. He's going to be captain soon enough. Calabria is a good captain right now, but in a couple years' time, Tonali should be taking it over. He is Milan. And I hope that we pick up a couple more players like that, because it really makes you feel this team a little more. So I got to give a shout out to both Leao and Tonali. Lastly, Mike Maignan, which I covered earlier. He's just been such an impactful keeper. He's vocal. He's charismatic. This is the type of guy I want on my team every single time. So Mike Maignan also gets a shout out from me today. What I will also say is something that I alluded to a little bit earlier, is that having both Rebic and Leao on at the same time towards the end of the game is the right call. And I like that we can actually interchange them. I think that we should. I feel like at times Rebic should switch to the left, Leao to the right, and they should keep changing. It shouldn't be a lockdown position towards the end of the game. You give the defenders a new look. You also add different parts of our players' personalities to it. Rebic is typically better on the left, but he's also better closer to goal, so he can shift in more, which gives them a different look, which the defenders typically are not looking at. When he's on the right, he's average, but he still works hard. Leao, however, is, I would say, better on the left, but he's probably very close to as good on the right, because he still can do the same moves and beat his man and deliver probably better crosses from the right. However, on the left, he's a little more of a goal threat. So mixing it up here and there and swapping sides every couple minutes to give a different look would be a good idea for the future. Next, I will say, which I kind of highlighted earlier, I really want Pioli to continue the trend of bringing on our fighters late in the game. That's how you win a Scudetto, and I hope this is something that we can build on for the future. Overall, I can't be happier. It wasn't a beautiful game from Milan, but we know we're never really going to play that type of beautiful game because, let's face it, our attackers just purely aren't good enough. However, we will be upgrading them next year, and we can still win a Scudetto with this squad. So we're at the end. Got to throw your support behind the guys, and hopefully Milan walks away with a Scudetto, first time in over a decade. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Put your comments down below. Let me know what you think, if I got any of the ratings wrong or right. And as always, Forza Milan.